just chilling. Just waiting on our VOD Reviewee to come, and then we'll be getting started. I'm really rusty after not playing for 2 days. Well, I'm gonna do one fight then in this quick play game, and then I'll move on to your VOD. I'll just yoink out of my team once I get them an advantage. Is music, game, and voice volume balanced well enough? I can't see the health pool because my phone is over it. Bruh. Look at this dude. Music could be louder, I can do it right after this one. And out I go. You know what, I'll just do it without music today, so I can make it extra fast.
Now traveling to Busan.
Okay. Bruh, my escape key doesn't work. Okay, anyways. Yeah, I just don't get to change my volume or anything. So, right off the bat, comp size, your guys' comp is a spam and dive hybrid. Basically, your job is to pocket the tracer and your Zen. And, peeling your Zen. Because Ball shouldn't need health packs, you should just be, chillin'. I would probably put Harmony Orb on Sigma if I was the Zen, so you shouldn't really have to be healing him. And then Widow shouldn't really need much heals either. So basically, your packs are almost entirely for just fueling up Zen, and either Tracer or Widow. Who's healing the Tracer kind of depends on just the team's flavor, because both Harmony Orb and Armor Packs are great resources for healing her. And that would be something that you would, like, that a structured team would watch carefully for. Hold on, I'm gonna try one more thing. Okay, well, I can't go back to my menu, but this is for reference of any viewers. It's 3.2 scrims, if I remember right. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tricio, on Brig. So right off the bat, like, this isn't going to be super interesting positioning. It's almost always going to be with your Zen, and then your Sigma should really be with you and Zen, because then you have the unit of Sig, Zen, and Brig, and then you have the Tracer Ball unit, and then you have the Widow unit. And Widow can be with the Sig, but she can also kind of be on her own. Or against, like, so like here, I want you to think about, this is like a nitpicky thing, especially because I'm only just watching. Make sure that you're thinking about the value of your shield bash, because if it isn't going to land a kill, it's not worth it. Because, like, even if you land the bash on this ball, it's not, like, you're not going to get the kill on him. And then, like, the dangerous thing is that, it's like, first of all, this team doesn't have a game plan. Like, look, everyone's just, like, kind of, like, these guys have a game plan. This was good. this doesn't look like a game plan. I don't know, maybe we'll see it shape up in a moment, but um like make sure that you're saving your bash for like it's your only escape ability too. So if you're not going to land a kill with it, it's better to just use it, like save it as a defensive option. Because like you're behind in safety right now, and you get shot by the widow from the flank here because you kind of bashed out recklessly, and that could have been just straight like if she had hit your head instead of your body, you'd just already be dead. So you guys are as a unit. Um, your guys' widow, I guess, lost the duel or got farmed by their tracer, but yeah. So like this is something that I talked about with Kiss Shot, but it's like if you don't have information, assume that they have everything. Like if you don't know that they don't have a widow, assume that they have a widow. If you don't know that they don't have a tracer, assume that they have a tracer. If you don't know that they don't have a ball, assume they have a ball. Like just assume that these things are here until you know that they're specifically not here. It's like just because you don't know doesn't excuse reckless positioning or reckless decision making. And like, while that one was like a really minor one, you always have to be watching out for that. Oh boy, a good Widowmaker. Um, so if I remember right, I watched like a brief little bit of the start, so you get a good bonk on the Tracer. So like this is good, packing the Zen, bonking Tracer. I'm glad that you didn't pursue that, because if you get kited away from the Zen, that's like a really bad thing, honestly. Good bonk again. I don't like this. So you're ball fed. I don't know what they did. They probably like ran into the Brig and then got farmed by the Diva or something. But you're ball fed. It's not your job to heal him or bail him out. He needs to get a mega or just die. So because if you look at this, you now have 0 health packs. Now you have 1. And then I don't mind this positioning. I don't like going 2-point. I like just being like here, kind of on the corner, because then you're safe from the widow sight lines. Because like here, this is an open angle, this is a closed angle. So like you kind of drifted a little too far and it was a little dangerous, but you're also now a little too far from your Zen, who should really be like a little more aggro in terms of his positioning too. But the bigger thing now is he's gonna get dove on, and you don't actually have your repair packs needed to help him survive the dive. Because there's one, or actually no, you whip shot him first. Like no, prioritize getting the heal packs onto the Zen first before going for the bonk. Because like it gives a larger burst of healing if I remember right than the Inspire proc. So I would rather have had you like I want to see real quick what exactly happens here. It's like you're kind of wandering out in the middle. You don't need to be there, like I said. But then he moves back. That was a mistake, because now he's too far. So what you needed to do is you needed to land the bonk on him mid-air, or and then you needed to double pack him, but you only had 1 pack at the moment. And then I don't like the idea to bash in here, because once again, you're not going to get the kill. It doesn't do much. I would, because like now you're in danger too, because you have 2 dive tanks on you, and like Brig is, she's only so durable. While you might survive this and they might just give up, I wouldn't like to be in this situation. I would rather bash back to this corner or something where I'm a little closer to my Sig for support, or well, really just that, I think, or just save it entirely. Yeah, cause so they just back out.
Feeling better?
So now your team has a McCree. Now I would say that it's your job to pack the McCree more and pocket him. Because Tracer's a little more self-sustaining, and the orb can like help her a little more, I think. But then the McCree is probably going to be sticking with your Sig, who you should be kind of between the Sig and the Zen. So I think I like having you pocket the McCree a little more here, but that's just like a personal preference thing. I couldn't really give reasoning exactly on why. Yeah, so see, that's the power of Brig, is she can hold off divers long enough that your team can like kind of collect enough to deal counter pressure or whatever. So that was good. No, I don't like the heal pack on the ball. This is fun. Whoa, oh my gosh, please be, yeah, that was scary for a second. It's good. I would bash off point here. Like, Zen and you should not be on point. Being on drum here is just so incredibly bad versus a Widowmaker. So the reason that you wouldn't pack the ball is because, like, if their Tracer, like, their Tracer is on respawn, but, like, if their Widow landed a body shot on your Zen, and you had already, like, double packed the ball, then you're only going to have one pack for your Zen, and then if they engage with the dive right after that, you're going to have no packs for the fight. It's like, it's fine to pack a ball mid-fight if you're sure that you'll be able to have all your resources back before the fight. But, and I think that is true here. Like, I think you probably do have time to get the resources back. But, like, in general, I don't think it's really necessary to pack ball. Like, it's like, he doesn't, it's not the most efficient use of pack. Because it, like, in terms of, like, the total healing, it's relatively small and doesn't really make much difference to him. So, but, like, the bigger thing is your positioning here, and the team's positioning is really, you don't want to be here versus a Widowmaker, because this is really open angles, and it has no closed distance. So you're playing, like, this team is playing McCree and Sigma. Like, Sigma can only reach to, like, here, here, and here from point. So he's kind of like compromising and playing middle, but in the same note doing nothing against the enemy team because he can't reach it. Like, I would rather have the Sigma and you and Zen in this room. Like, just the whole gang, and then Tracer with the ball or whatever. And then, or like back here, or even up here, just like anywhere except on point. And the reason I'm gonna always critique team macro a little bit is because every player can always have an influence on the team's macro, especially on main support, where so much of the value is just in consistency and like not feeding and stuff, and communication. Because like with support, main support, there's only so many like aggro plays that need to be made, if any. Like, Brig is not an aggro plays character. She's like a disciplined, smart character. And then, like, Lucio, really the best way to play him is strategically and team oriented, like more like how Moth plays it. Because if you play more like Li Gong, you end up feeding in the grand finals. Or, no, as playoffs or semifinals. Same with Mercy. Like, it's about consistency and your communication value to the team generally. It's like right now you guys are basically pinned down. I don't like that you're going so wide here because like you're going for a boop and it's like, okay, great, but who are you healing? Does your team need the healing right now? Not really. So you're kind of just like going up here and exposing yourself to potential like Widowmaker shots and stuff for pretty low value. It's like ball is going for an engage here, but I don't really know why your ball is going for an engage because your team has nowhere to follow up on it. Like, say if you're Sigma and Zen and you and McCree, like the whole gang were all here. Hey, hey, you guys could have just peeked left and you would have a great sight line here. And you'd be safe from Widow and holding down the flank route. But, or even if you were just here, you would still have a lot of control over the battlefield. Because you could just be like here to boop this tracer as soon as she walks past or whatever while being safe. It's like always be thinking about like the utility of your positioning. With like it's always tricky with support, like with main support especially, because so much of your positioning is dictated by your team's positioning. Like like with Mercy, you're gonna be tied to your DPS, and it's like, oh yeah, how do I best do that without like throwing if my DPS is throwing? Or like with Lucio, it's like, okay, well if my main tank isn't going in, what do I do? And things like that. So it's like it's a little tricky, but there's like you always have to be thinking about that. Like I don't like this aggro. So like you get pulse bombed and rightfully so because like what is the point of this? What does it accomplish? Ball goes in. You don't have packs for the tracer. I wonder if that's because you packed ball. Let's see.
I need healing.
Ah, see, look, packing the ball, man. Like this is what I was saying. How did you only have one pack though? You packed ball. Bash. Pack Sigma when he's not really that low. And boop, that's fine. You have one pack. And use it on ball as he's about to engage. And now you have no heal packs for your Tracer, who's the high value pack. Like now you have one pack there, but now you have none and you're going into aggro, so you're trying to proc Inspire. But it's like, well, okay, what does you being here do? Like specifically. Like I want to know your kind of where you're thinking with it, in case I'm missing something. I feel that. But basically, like, your team doesn't need heals. So, like, you don't need to be doing any play. You don't have, like, reliable ranged damage. You know that they are, like, over here, and you can't feed forwards like this because it makes you a target. And you know that they have a Tracer who you need to shelter your McCree from. So like it's like this is kind of that consistency thing that I'm talking about, where it's like you have to you have to rein in the bloodlust and rein in the dopamine seeking, because otherwise it can get you in some serious pinches. Because like 90% of the time, like you see dudes like Animo and Toby and like those guys succeed in Overwatch League, even though they're like not huge names, just because they're really consistent. Like they're not a problem really ever. They're like they're not a superstar. Like you don't hear their names like how like FD God, Funny Astro Moth, and Liege Gond got mentioned, but they're not like they're very reliable. Your team just used 3 ults, but
Feeling better?
I don't really know if you needed 3 ults when you already have point control, but I don't mind you being on point here because of Rally specifically. It's like the whole thing with Rally is you can use it to initiate a brawl phase for your team. So like in a double shield comp, usually what you do is you have a resource burn phase and then a brawl phase. And the best way to kind of initiate a brawl phase is your rally, because it gives you just so much point blank sustain and power. It's such a strong support ult right now. You weren't really watching for your squishies, you always have to be watching for that, because I died. Now you have to use the flux too. So I want to watch that from above and see if there's a better position that you could have been there. I actually almost would say that rally is better than trance. Like, probably specifically because trance can be blocked by shields or like anti-nated, but rally, there's basically nothing you can do against it. Yeah, so first of all, your Zen is just getting farmed. It's like, I don't know if he's staggering out without you, or if you're letting him die. Yeah, no, he's staggering out without you. So your Zen is just feeding really badly. Your team shouldn't be engaging here without the Zen. Just give up the point. I would just take this loss. You guys have 30%. You've matched their progress. And like, you guys can commit the minefield. Do you like the minefield commit? I like. But then like trying to win this 5v6 is just a really hard task. And then this McCree is off doing like weird flanky things when he really just needs to be with Sigma. Like, weird flanky things are fun and they're fine, but like, where is your... It's just... I don't really like it here, honestly. I feel like it would have been, like, because he's actually like a pretty brittle target and pretty diveable. So I just don't really like him being separated in this comp. Because like Widow it's fine, or Ashe it's fine, because they have that escape ability. And they can one-shot Tracer or whatever. And have a little more direct pressure. But like, McCree is just kind of like, eh. It's like having a Hanzo flank, where it's like, it can be good, but it's really risky. Yeah, see, he's just gonna get run over by the Tracer or the ball here. Yeah, see, like, he basically fed there. And from here, the fight is lost. It's a 4v6. And even if you can keep the point by investing more ults, you have to ask the question of, is it worth it? Your guys' Sigma thought so. It's really not. They use 2 more ults, though, because they really don't want to lose it. I don't think they even had to dedicate the ults. So your positioning was, like, fine there. Like, sticking with the Sigma was about all you could have done. But, like, look at your Zen again. Oh my gosh, he keeps staggering in. This dude is getting on my nerves so much. Their Tracer's a feeder. But, where's the angle? If everybody is on the same angle, they can just avoid the damage. I guess we're not looking at team macro, so I'll go back to your team. But, so this is fine. You're sticking with your team. That's what you want to do as Brig. That was something you needed to hit. You needed to not go for that second swing, and you needed to hit that boop. That was like a non-negotiable. Or to hit a bash. Like, you cannot let him get that roll through. He screws it up and hits the wall anyways. How do you, like, this dude is a bot. I want to watch that from his perspective. Yeah, he doesn't even get the roll through. He whiffs in, hits a wall. That was really tragic from him. But yeah, like, that was one that you needed to hit. Because, like, that engage can just be so dangerous to the team. Uh, your McCree is a feeder. He went outside of his Sigma and out from cover. Like, the thing is like, so much of Widow is, like, you cannot reduce her pressure because it's so burst that it instantly kills you, and it's so far away that there's not many abilities that can, like, and because it's hit scan and so far away, you can't, like, reasonably reduce it. So basically, you negate all her value by avoiding her sightlines, because you can reduce pressure, or you can handle pressure by reducing it or avoiding it, or you die. So you have to avoid it. And then the reason good Widowmakers are good are because they take, like, creative angles, like this would be your creative Widow angle to shoot that McCree there that people don't expect and therefore cannot avoid. But, like, this is an angle that that your McCree is just feeding, because it's not a hard carry if your team is just feeding with bad positioning and their Widow is punishing it. It just means that she's landing her shots and actually landing that pressure. So my guess is it just means that the team that you're on has just really bad positioning on a couple players who are just getting farmed. Because, like, yeah, they can be a good Widow, but their Widow is not doing, like, any hard balls, like, high tier flanks and stuff right now. She's just hitting normal shots from predictable spots. This is fine. I like sticking with your Sig. I don't mind that slam. I don't know if it negated his damage, but you can negate it from there if I remember right. So your Zen is being pretty questionable by going to point early, but it's fine. I don't mind packing the Sig here because like, Sig is squishy. It's like I said earlier, you can pack, like, your DPS, like one of the DPS. You can pack the Zen, and then, like, Sig is like the next kind of the next step, and, like, especially because mid fight, it's important that he stays up. That should have been a Zen orb. Your Zen is so clueless. He's not even. Was he even watching for that tracer there?
That should be better.
What is this guy doing? He could have been shot by Widowmaker twice in that rotation of spinning around in a circle. I hope that guy's not also 3200. Yeah. I don't like that minefield. These armor packs look fine so far. I don't mind this. Like, this is basically Brig doing Brig things. You're brawling on point. I don't mind you holding on point anymore because their Widow was dead. Or, like, I think it was. I feel like I saw. Like, you guys won that fight and then knew they'd have to be doing a panicked engage. And, like, if you know that they have to come to the point like this, it's not as big of a deal for you to be on point. Like, I still wouldn't mind if you guys had played in here and then shot point or whatever, and then established angles and just kept ball on point. But it's fine to be on point if you have cover. Yeah, you can hold the corners with third person. Like, that's a really big advantage. Not enough people use it on Ryan, Brig, Ball, or even just using emotes.
It has to be ready for battle. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Raising the volume.
I will prove myself.
So, in terms of the initial rollout, I don't really love everybody going on this side. Just because, like, Well, first of all, it's really awkward that you and the enemy team are running McCree in your comps. I don't like that's just like a really weird pick to me. But rolling out with your team is good. Sorry, I'm trying to resist my my macro tendencies as much as possible because like a lot of what I do is like the team coaching and strategy coaching. So it's hard for me to stay focused on the individual micro. Good bonk. And led to a kill, nice. I think you needed to pack your tracer there. You kind of like were waving around your camera and missed it. As much as everybody thinks that you need to be waving your mace around constantly, I genuinely don't think you need to be waving your mace around constantly. Like, like I know all the pros do it. I might have to ask Spylo or Wizard Young or someone if there's like some like secret reason that Brigs are always swinging their mace around. But genuinely, I feel like it probably was like if it's gonna distract you from giving out health packs when you need it, and like hitting boops or hitting stuns like at key moments, I wouldn't bother. I think it's like you could shield more or whatever, do like occasional swings, but because I think you miss a pack moment on your tracer here. So you get the bonk. Yeah, right. Like right. I guess you didn't have enough time, Gab. Hmm. Bad bash. I think it was an accidental one, but and look, because you used your 3 packs on your ball, you don't have any for your Zen, and he could have been dove on there. You don't really need to be on point. I would rather have you up here with your Sigma right now. Same with Zen. Get off point, man. Get off point. Get off point. You're doing nothing here. You're doing nothing. You don't need point, man. Ball has point. Get off point. That was sloppy from the enemy team. Like they just didn't capitalize. Like the reason you don't want to be on point here on Brig is because it gives them all the angles advantages. Like the cover here, even like on these stairs, is pretty limited. And then you're so far, if you're on point, from where your like relevant teammates are. Because Sigma is up here like he should be. Zen was supposed to be up here. I think he did go up here. McCree could be like here or whatever. Tracer could be here. Or I guess you guys have Soldier, so McCree Soldier. Why are both teams running McCree Soldier on this map? That's so weird. What? Why not the Ashe? Ashe is just so much better right now. That's really weird. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how good your experience was with them, but unless they have like serious coaching progress, I would look for a team that has like a lot of drive to improve. I don't know how much drive to improve these guys have. Like our team, Halfrings, like it's a pretty low drive to improve team as a whole, honestly. Like there's enough, like some, but not enough. Because like I can improve everyone if they want, but I I had plenty of time until now, but in the past we just don't have enough people willing to dedicate time, and we had not enough coaching willing to dedicate. And this is fine. You're low. I like the passivity. That's a good boob. Nah, I don't. Your ball didn't need the Pac-Man. Pac-Man. This is fine though. Yeah, so stop using your packs on dudes who don't need the packs. Yeah, it's basically just you and Aftershock who want to learn. Like Spectre, I think wants to learn, but in all honesty, he doesn't make enough time to learn. And Aeon is like just feels too boomed, and then like Rex and Jinx just Kiss Shot too, I would say. And we'll have to see about Zeke. Like that's why I liked then picked up Kiss Shot, is because I felt like he actually had like some of that hunger to improve and try things out. So I think I can work with him enough if I just once I finally get done with all my stupid finals and stuff.
Enemy contact.
But yeah, like make sure that you're like getting value out of your health packs, because like a lot of your health packs are like they're fine on the targets or whatever, but like they're relatively low value. Because like look, even now you still are short of 3 health packs. Like you're almost getting your third one back now, but yeah, like Boop I don't mind using on cooldown as much because like it's a little less critical. Of course, like in top tiers you do need to optimize that too. But like you never want to be just using an ability off cooldown without a reason why. Like that's something I had to face with Orisa Halt and Sigma Accretion too. And I still actually do it a lot with Sigma Accretion. Is I just use it off cooldown for like extra damage or like extra stun and stuff. And it's pretty low value because then you don't have it when you need. Like if it's Sigma, I don't have my accretion to hit an enemy Sigma who's flexing me or something, or like a Dragon Blade. Or it's like when you spam out those random sleep darts on Ana, like down the mid, and then you get dove on by a Dragon Blade and you don't even have the chance to sleep it, even if you could. So like, those armor packs are the life of your team, and it's a resource used to negate pressure and reduce pressure. So if the pressure on your team is not high, it doesn't matter. They can stay at 3/4 of HP forever. Be using your health packs to actually reduce pressure. This is good. I like this. Keeping that. Yeah, that was a good shot from the Widow. See that? Like this is a creative angle that I'm talking about that good Widows would take. I'm not sure where was your guys' Zen. Like this is a botting position from your Zen. Zen should have been probably here, honestly, because like there's literally like no reason for him to be on the staircase. This is just the worst position in the entire game from right now. I don't feel like you needed to back up from the corner. I would have rather you just held this tight because your ball was gonna go for an engage here. I don't know if he called that he was going for an engage here, but like Ball, Sigma, and Brig together, like you guys could hold this corner pretty decently, I would say. Like you back up here, but then it's like, well, to do what? Because you could be getting so much cleave damage with your mace by just swinging through this group still on the corner. Like, you back up for no reason. Widow gets one shot, and suddenly look at the attention of your team. Away, 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 away. Or Ball is here. So it's, right now, the only pressure here is your tanks, and that's not enough pressure. Like, that one Widow just got so much value because your team just directed all their attention and therefore all their pressure away from the enemy's main angle and all most of their pressure, because this is not where most of their pressure is. Most of their pressure is from here. So now like you can't, your team isn't in position to keep this zoned in anymore, and they can just push out for free. Like see, if you had just been chilling here still with your Sigma, you'd be brawling this pretty much evenly. And you probably could have saved your Sigma too, because you wouldn't have been vulnerable to the high noon. So like make sure you're committing to your corners. Like you back up from your corner, but then this is like a kite back that you can't afford to do because there's still no cover. So it's better to just hold the corner still. Well, see, Truzio, then you have to get to 3.5k.
This looks perfect. Not to mention some bumps and bruises.
Yeah.
Hurry up, Fidel.
You have no idea. Like, I would pay an arm and a leg. I don't like you on point here, man. But yeah, I would pay an arm and a leg to, like, view some, like, contenders, scrims and stuff. Like, that would be really cool to watch. But, like, the Overwatch replay viewer gives you, like, really good ideas. I can't wait till that's back. But, like, what's the sitch here I want to watch again where... So you just saw 2 of your teammates die to a Sigma. I would just call that a lost fight. And then I would get away from point, and the Zen is in the middle of point, which is just so bad once again. But like, I would rather just have you and Zen right here. Right here. Because then Zen is just spamming, he's using it as an angle. You are basically just pocketing Zen, because he is a DPS for all practical purposes. And you're stopping Ball from diving him. Like, that is just all you're doing. Because if they move on to point, they're going to get spammed from Zen, they'll get spammed from Soldier, Ball will engage from somewhere, Sig can come back to where you guys are or whatever. Like, that's fine. You don't need the point right now. They are the ones who need the point. There's no reason for you guys to be on point, because you know that they're going to come there, and you don't have to be there. Like, see, the Zen's just awful positioning, got Widow picked him off again, and now you're under a lot of pressure from her too. I need healing. Who? I don't mind the rally here, but once again, because the feeder Zen died already, I would have just called it a lost fight. Like, you guys are investing 3 ults here, but then it's like, well, okay, what if you hadn't? What would happen? Non-rhetorical question. Like, kind of like trace how the fight could go here. So, your team... Well, you weren't technically. You're only down 1, I think. You're Zen. Or no, you're down... You're Sigma, technically, yeah. So, it's like, yeah, it was a pretty scrappy situation. Like, by now, you're down 3, basically. And you just committed Rally, Soldiers committed Visor, Ball just committed Mines. So if you guys hadn't done that, you lose the fight, right? But then they used their Rally. They used their Nano. They don't have High Noon. They would have had only Flux and Whole Hog to win the next fight. And you guys would have had Flux, Mines, Visor, Trance, and Rally. 5 ults to their 2. You basically could just roll right through them with Rally alone, almost. So, like, I think your call needed to be here for the team to not use ults. Like, this is like the communicator thing and ult tracking. Because you need to be tracking that they don't have that many resources, and that you can literally just let this fight go. Because your team is dead. It's a sloppy fight. You have 99% of point control and only need to win 1 fight. They have to win like 4 fights. Just be patient with it. The team can be patient with it. You can be patient with it. I don't like this rally because of that. Like, it just... Like, even if you guys win this... I think you need to be a little crisper with the combo there. It's good to go for the bash boot because it stops their momentum. But you kind of like did like a swing or something in the middle, and I think that stopped you from getting the boot. Yeah, if you hadn't done that swing in the middle, you could have just gotten the boop off the edge. Like, keep it crisp. If you're gonna go for the boot, man, go for it. No, it's fine though. Like, that's something you could have bashed. You could have bashed the Brig for the opportunity to get the kill there, because it would have given you extra burst damage. And like, your team invests Sig, but this is still so scrappy, and then their McCree wins it. So now, instead of being up 5 ults, and then with 2 ults, now your team has 0 ults, and their team has 4 ults, because you guys fed for so long. Then you still lost the fight. Like, you have to think about the ult economy of what you're doing. Like, by just dying fast and not re-engaging, your team could have just made this so much easier on yourselves. But now you have to do a dry fight or whatever to pull out 1 or 2 ults, and then probably a semi-dry fight to get the last ults out, but like actually commit so that they use all of them. And then you have to win a fight that'll probably still just be about neutral in terms of ult economy as your final fight. And I like the Widowmaker on this map significantly more. Like, so much more. Because, like, now, first of all, your McCree is going to get farmed. Especially because he's not playing with your Sigma. Like, look at the lack of plan here. Widow is going to pick off your McCree. She's going to pick off your Zen. Probably pick off your Tracer, in all honesty. Like, everyone's playing in the open away from the Sig, who's, like, your one protection against the Widow. You have no real ability to counter pressure the Widow, except for the Zen, who's really pretty inconsistent with it, especially at this elo and with a Zen like that. Like, you don't have the Widow or the pocketed Ashe to like counter pressure her. This Widow is just wide open right now. Your team has nothing to handle it. Yeah, so there's the McCree dead. Now you guys have to wait. This is fine. I'm glad that you're waiting here. Packed Tracer. Now you have to wait for your packs though before doing things again. Accepted after 1 scrim. It must be desperate. I don't like this really. Like, I don't know what you're really trying to do here. But you should really just be sticking with Zen and Sig, because they're the ones who are under threat from dive. And I like bashing over to get back to them. I don't like dropping here. It doesn't really do anything still. Like, you feel like you're doing more because you're swinging on stuff now, but you're also in more danger. Like, look, everybody like jumped down to point to Boogie and then just gets run over by the High Noon. That's what happens when you don't actually force out the angles before the fight happens. So I would have rather that you stayed with your Sig, I think, probably. I think you stayed on the high ground. Yeah, you could literally have followed your Sig along on this whole flank, and this is a much more effective way to close the distance. Because then you have some cover here. You would have gotten fluxed, but it's kind of like whatever. You would have been able to heal him here and keep him alive. And then your team would have still had some protection against the High Noon. So, take it as you will, but like, don't be going aggressive to try and close the distance without thinking about like what distance you're closing and what you're supposed to do. I don't like the idea to switch. Well, no, they have the ball still. Or no, oh wait, no, they did swap off ball. Yeah, so you could have gone Mercy here, probably, yeah. I thought they still had the ball. That was my bad. I'm used to red team being the enemies, but yeah, I would have gone Zen Mercy here probably, because yeah, just against a pure spam comp, and you could have boosted your Zen really, I guess, because boosting your McCree is really bad. I don't like that your team went Genji here either. That's like a really bad choice. Same situation as when Aftershock did on Rialto and got like 0 value, and he admitted it. This is a good position to push from. Stick with the team, just move up with Sig. I don't really like dropping down to point here instead of literally just brawling up with your Sig. Like, the splits for the team generally, like your Zen isn't under threat, so you can, like, even though your Mercy, you could have swapped Mercy or whatever, you can also still play Brig and just go in really aggro with your Sig, because Sig has a lot of brawling power, and if you were with him right now, you and him would be a lot healthier and basically able to just run over these 3 dudes, because these guys do not have enough close range power to deal with a rallied Brig and Sigma. like you kind of just end up vibing here and bashing up around a hog, and like your team wins it, but it's just I personally would have rather you just not gone straight to point.
Score
My guess is on this map, your team probably just gets farmed by the Widow. I guess that's why the wanted to dude went Genji, is because he's like, oh yeah, I'll deal with Widow on Genji, but then it's like, doesn't really work like that. McCree here is just such an abysmal choice into the Widow. It is so unbelievably bad. I'm glad that Jam was trying to like counter Widow, because even if you're not like a great Widow, if you just take creative angles, you can like seriously check another Widow, because she always has to be watching for you. Like you're a threat even if you're kind of bad. So my guess is McCree dies here or Zen dies here in the very first rotation, like before even touching point. So of course, what your team has to be thinking is, how are you going to close away the angles so that Widow isn't going to have influence?
5, 4, 3.
Order will be restored.
Is this also that team? Wait. Is this also the team that tried the Ryan and Monkey and Mei Sim on non-Koth? Okay. Was that just another team that you're trying out for? I don't know if I even want to see it, man. That's terrifying. Okay, ringer.
Teleporter online. Got some news. I will shield you.
This is fun. Just be patient.
Just a home laundry.
Packing Sig is fine. You don't need to pack your DPS and Zen as much versus their current comp, because they're staying pretty distanced. So I think I would rather have you packing the Sig, just because he's doing the most brawling right now and like taking the actual damage. Like Sig and McCree are probably like the two I want you packing the most right now. Because odds are, if Zen gets damaged in this comp, he's probably just already dead anyways, because it's probably the Widow dealing damage to him.
I've got you.
The objective is now active.
So yeah, this is fun. Your team wins the fight. That was good discipline.
Come on over. Scandinavian style? No, it has to be Lindholm style. Let me patch that up.
That's an R1 on Ball, I think. That's an R1 on Sig. Please don't tell me you packed the full health Ball. You would have packed the full health Ball. You packed the full health Ball! And now you only have one for critical health Sigma. Fortunately, it was good that you got the Inspire at least. Yeah, so you're kind of just sitting here. I don't like that. I liked it until the enemy team is engaging. But then the problem is, like, I get that you're trying to be able to back up your Zen, and I think that's a good position. But then the problem is, as soon as they start pushing your Sig, or that was an accident. Right. So don't use your armor pack. Like you should have saved it here. I get that you had 3, but it's still, I don't love it. So like as soon as they start pushing your Sig here, you should have just shield bashed over to here. because then you'd be able to heal your Sig from a safe angle and have a more easy location to land bashes from. And you can still see your Zen and like give him heal packs from here. But the biggest thing is you're closed off to the Widow angles. Like just because your teammate is in a feeder position, like this is a really dangerous position right now because they have Widow, doesn't mean that you have to be too. Like it's just like when your DPS is doing like feeding positioning and you're on Mercy, you don't stand in the open as Mercy too. You play behind a wall or whatever, and you make the best out of it, right? So like I would rather you be thinking about how to keep yourself safe against the Widow, while also being able to be in a position to help your Sigma, and instead of kind of like this like very rigid playstyle. And your ball, you would have been able to back up your ball too, because if you had gone over to here and landed the Inspire from here, you would be able to heal both of them with your Inspire. It's like, it's fine to reposition on Brig, like that's something you can always keep in your mind for your kit. And from here, the enemy team probably just wins the angles battle. It's so weird seeing these as like almost mirror comps. They're like a whole meta ago, except they're running McCree instead of Tracer, which is kind of weird, but I guess it's because they're bad at Tracer, or like didn't feel good enough on Tracer, because your team is like really weak to Tracer. The Zen, the McCree, the Widow.
No one can hide from my sight.
You're chasing the kills, man. I don't like that. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah, pay attention to your team. Where did your McCree get picked off?
No one can hide from my sight.
Yeah, that's why like when I see a Smurf on ladder or whatever, like it's always important to be like looking at it from improvement angle. Pack the McCree, pack the McCree. I don't know if it would have helped him, but because the Widow just kind of looked like they were annihilating them too, but basically, oh my gosh, no. I like the BM though. I think you should have stopped and teabagged if I'm honest. Yeah, please just, okay, I'm glad you didn't rally there, at least. Oh, but your Sigma ulted.
This is all part of the learning process. So got some news. Rally to me!
I like the rally. Your team's engaging. It's time to brawl. This is all good. Running on to point. Yep. It's fine to be on point during a mid fight and when the team doesn't have angles on point.
Catching you up. Hey. Feeling better? Shield holding. Sniper.
No one
Watch
can
out.
hide from my sight.
Don't peek it, man. Don't peek it. Don't chase it. I don't mind you positioning here. Like, going back and, like, scouting it, kind of. But I think it'd be better just tell your team that there's a Widow on point. Because, like, feasibly, what are you gonna do about it? Nothing. You can't close the distance. She can break your shield. She can headshot you. Like, this is like a kid chasing after a serial killer, like a 10-year-old kid chasing after a serial killer in movies and stuff. Except it's realistic, and you're like, okay, well, what's the 10-year-old kid gonna do? They don't have money for travel. They don't have a driver's license. They don't know how to use weapons. They don't know how to buy food. Like they just aren't equipped for that matchup. It's just not like the optimal thing. I would rather have you just chill here, like where you were, or loop back to here. This is actually the positioning I think I like most on Break on this map, because it's super closed off against angles. But then because you have the Zen over here, it kind of makes it like, I'd rather your Zen be like here, because then he's not weak to angles. He holds sightlines on this and here, and like has an option to just drop down if he's under pressure and be with the Brig. because then what you can do is if they push onto point, Sig can just kind of back up to here with the Zen, and then Brig can be here with McCree or whatever, and you have an off angle.
Jag fixar dig.
Yeah, like I think you're playing a little too locked to your Zen potentially.
Feel better soon.
Because you can play a lot more with your Sig. Because like yeah, you want to be able to protect your Zen, but first of all, they don't have any dive threats right now. And second of all, even if they're diving your Zen, all you have to do is be able to be in range to like get to him to back up. You don't have to be like on top of him. So you can get kind of creative with the angles you take to have cover. Yeah, that's fine. That last fight. I think my number one thing for you would be make sure you're thinking like think about the value with your health packs. Like I want you critically analyzing your health pack usage and being like, okay, identify which are the like high value targets on your team to heal, which are generally people who are going to be going in aggro, and don't have their own sustain, and who the other healer won't be healing. Because like while there's other things like the positioning, which I think you can always like constantly like work on a little bit, and like you could work on like whip shots or shield bashes or whatever. I think like just by managing your heal packs a little better, and then like just thinking a little more critically about your positioning in terms like of positions compared to your team, I think that'll like significantly be able to level up your play and like help you out a lot more. Let me know if you have any questions about anything. Oh, this ended up being really long. Alright. Well, there's the VOD. I think I'm gonna postpone that random dude's Sigma VOD till later. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at it and be entertained. Thank you for coming. I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream.